Techies.
Namaste Techies. Namaste Arjun.
Oh my God. Are we ever gonna get over that?
No, we'll be after probably 100 shows, right?
We need to get someone to create avatars for us. Little cartoons so that we can use as our marketing stuff. So
Yeah, with Namaste, right?
with
Probably
Namaste,
some stickers as well.
exactly. With the hand and then you on one side, me on one side or something. But
Yeah.
anyways, so that's good. So how you doing? Good?
Yeah, doing well. How about you?
Awesome. Yeah, life is busy as always. Looking forward to some nice warm weather soon, which is it's actually snowing today, which is weird, but whatever. So, anyways, so today's episode is a special one, and
Yep.
we've talked about it in the past that we're gonna bring some guest speakers to showcase what they do and to share knowledge and information with our viewers and the community at large, right? We're going to
Yep.
have a platform for them. So today's episode is really special because we got a special guest that joined us. She's well known in the industry, particularly in the WVD uh, world. And are you excited?
Yeah, WVD and VDI world is always kind of exciting for me, and that is kind of new to me. Like I started working on WVD since last probably 18 months or so. So
Oh, right,
yeah,
right.
that is very, very exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it's WVD is like now the hot topic or hot thing in the industry, right? From config manager to Intune and now WVD, like that's starting to become a requirement for a lot of IT pros to have that skill set to
Mm-hmm.
to further their careers and stuff, right? And seems like a lot of these technologies they kind of like mesh together, right? They all kind
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
at the
Yeah.
end of the day, they're all part of Azure,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, anyways,
And the entire team is like probably under Microsoft Endpoint Manager team.
right,
I don't know. Sometimes their collaboration is also very good from a Microsoft product team perspective, right?
that's true.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, anyways, so without much delay, let's bring our special guest. We introduce you, Jen Sheerin. Welcome.
Hi.
Hello,
It's
Namaste.
great
hello.
to be here.
Namaste.
Oh, namaste.
That's our signature greeting. It goes well with the YouTube name, right?
Yes, I see you have the cool background and I don't have one, and I'd like to have
Yeah,
that.
Anoop failed in that side of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need to Anoop, we need to create a Namaste Techies background for guests.
Yeah.
You
Special
know,
one, right?
maybe like guest on the top or special guest or something like that so they can use.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
So,
thank you.
and
anyways,
prob
Jen, yeah,
and
it's good to
probably we
have
might
you.
do yeah, sure.
It's good to have you. And I've known you for a little while now, and I know you and Anoop had some connection through some sessions. And uh, explain, maybe like give a quick intro, who you are, where you're from, what do you do.
Sure, sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be your special guest and the first as well.
The
So
first
thank
one.
you. Yeah, thank you so much. I've been working in the tech industry for a very long time, longer than I like to admit. And I did a few various things back in my earlier days. And then I moved into focus on Citrix about probably 16 years or so. So while I did it and did the terminal server thing and all of Windows throughout my career, it was more of a system admin type role. an engineering role, but I decided I was going to focus on Citrix. And so, with Citrix, you have to know all the supporting infrastructure, right? You have to know the hypervisor, the Active Directory side, group policies, some of that stuff that we all know together in the same world, right? And then, so VDI became my focus. And then with the birth of WVD, that was only natural, right? RDS was already there. So I work as a delivery engineer and day to day, and a lot of what I do is scoping out solutions for my customers to see which solution fits best, and then deploying, right? Once we all agree that that's the solution. And so I do both, Citrix and WVD primarily today. Right?
Yeah,
So,
looks like you have a ton of experience in this area, going back from your Citrix days. So, like you said, it's a nice progression into it, and we're definitely honored to have you having the skill sets to join us today. So, yeah. Anup, did you have anything?
Yeah, that's great to have you, and we are excited to show our users or our viewers what you are going to show, right? Basically, what is WVD, and how excited you are about WVD, etc. Right? So,
okay. So for the first thing I wanted to do was, since we're just talking about what it is, right? We're gonna go a little deep right at the beginning. So let me just share my screen here, and hopefully we can get this working really well. Okay. So you should be seeing screen now.
Yep.
Okay. So what we're looking at right now is an adaptive diagram from what the WVD connection flow looks like. So in the middle, we have the Microsoft managed WVD components, which are, as you can see, broken out into the web access, the diagnostics, the gateway, and the broker, and SQL. So those are the things that Microsoft controls, and it's known as the WVD control plane, if you will. And to the left, we have, so let me pause for a second. Do you guys have any questions about that?
No, that's good.
Okay. Oh, and I should mention that because it's Microsoft managed, it will get updated by Microsoft as well, right? So this is something that as a admin or IT professional, you don't need to worry about that part, right? So on the left, we have the clients that can connect. And as you can see, various methods. You can use your Android, your Apple device, HTML, and there is an app in the Windows Store as well. So you can connect through the app. The app is the best experience, especially with things like Teams, with audio and video. So it's highly recommended that you use the app, right? Okay, so on the right, we have the components that will be managing, our techies are managing, right? You have either the desktops, or you can publish apps as well, not just desktops, so single apps if you want to. And then you're going to need, somewhere to put your profiles, right? So think about it. We have a Windows 10 VM. And when the user logs on, they have a profile that sits in C users. So that profile, if the next time you log on to a different VM, you want to make sure that that profile follows your users. And in order to do that, we're going to put it in a shared location. So FSLogix is the recommended solution for WVD for your profiles. And you're going to need a storage solution to put the profiles, right? So you can use Azure Files as one option. And you can do a file share, which you can do an SMB file share. And you also have the ability with Azure Files to add that into Active Directory on your Active Directory domain controller. You can add that as an object. So you can just do a UNC backend. And so there's some other little details about parameters and securing it down with endpoints and things like that. So if you're a huge enterprise and you want to have a lot of users, you may want to look at another solution, which is called Azure NetApp Files. It's a first-party solution. And NetApp Files has a minimum of 1 terabyte of storage. So you definitely wouldn't be doing that in your lab, right? Because it's going to cost you some money. So you need to think about all those things when you're deciding the factors of if you're doing Azure Files or NetApp. And of course, if you don't want to do any of those things, you do have the ability to just throw up a VM, a server in Azure and do a file share, right? Just pretty much standard old file share. I mean, you're going to have to manage that VM, patch it, and all of that, and be responsible for it. And if you're doing one, then do you need to do two to make sure it has the available, etc., right? So those are just lots of considerations, which brings me to the point of when you're planning your WVD deployment, you really, really want to make sure that you're planning out really well all these things, right? Because you want to make sure you're keeping your costs down, you're building a good foundation that will let you grow. Do you need maybe you have users around the globe and you may need those file shares replicated across the globe, or how their users connecting. So important stuff there, and figuring out. So the middle item there was the Azure Active Directory, right? So you do have the ability to use WVD with either Azure Active Directory or Azure Domain Services, so Azure Active Directory Domain Services. And so there are some drawbacks, and you want to look at both of those. So we'll just go with the Azure Active Directory. This is the most common method, and as a matter of fact, if you're using MSIX App Attach, which is a method of deploying your apps, you would definitely need Active Directory. Okay. So your Windows VMs are joined to Active Directory domain, right? And that can be on premises, depending on your connection. Do you have an express route to the cloud, or do you have a VPN? Is it really fast? You may want to consider putting Active Directory domain controller in the cloud replicated so you can help with latency and things like that. So let's look at the flow a little bit here. So if we so what happens with these desktops? So these VMs that are either publishing apps or desktops, they maintain a kind of communication via the agent to the broker, right? So that's our number one here. And then when the user logs on, there is obviously going to have authentication, right? So you'll probably have MFA in the midst of that, right? And then Active Directory along the way. So Azure is going to allow them in. Then they're going to be presented to the web screen where they see this web page where you have an icon to click on to either launch the desktop or the application, right? So that's a web page front end, and the tokens pass through with that. Then the gateway is the part that does the communication to the broker, and then you have this number 5, if you notice, goes back to the gateway. So what happens is the gateway is contacting the broker. It's saying this person needs this. The broker knows which VM is free, and it will send that. So it's called a reverse connect. When the desktop number 5, the desktop goes outbound, right? So you notice the arrow is pointing out, right, to get back to the user. And that's how the flow works. So this kind of probably looks a little complicated. So let's see it in action, right? So I have a little video to demonstrate this. So let's go. So I'm going to go into the short URL here, which is AKS WVD web, and I'm using the web page browser. So here's the first authentication, and I don't have MFA, otherwise I'd be prompted here for my phone to sign in. So I'm just logging in here, and this is your normal Azure login, right? Once I sign in here, then remember the page that was the web page. So here I am presenting with this page, right? And here I can see my apps and my desktops, right? I click on the icon. When I click on the icon, it's going to start launching my desktop, right? And so that broker communicated, but then I'm prompted for Active Directory domain credentials again. So I'm logged in, right? So I have to log in. And now my Windows 10 VM is logging me in, and I'm this is just like I'm on any laptop or VM. And here you can see I have all my apps, right? Normal desktop in the cloud. I can use it and function, do work, Word, Excel, anything that any apps that I had installed that I would need to. And so I'll pause for a second here. That is what I had pretty much.
A couple of questions I have. One is, can't you do single sign-on from the first time you log in, instead of asking for the second set of credentials for Azure AD? Is that something that can be set up? Because it seems like it's for a lot of things that you can do that.
It is on the roadmap for that double login. Yeah, so that is sort of, we need the. I didn't have the MFA on my demo, just to help it speed it along. But you would normally have MFA, right? So you authenticate with Azure and what everybody is asking, and it's on the top of the list and on the roadmap to have that single sign-on, so you don't have to do that.
Because when you go to the portal the first time, that should be your credentials that goes right through it. It's second question, and maybe Anup has more, but is when you mentioned, like, when you're in the portal, you click on an icon, you get your desktop, or you get an application or whatever. Can you configure this to automatically, depending on a specific user or use case, where it just goes straight when they log in, boom, they get to a particular VDI desktop or to a particular application? Because I know that's something that we do, but using a competitor's solution.
You do have the ability to do a private desktop. So let's say you have a use case where you have developers that have these, beefy box with all these developer tools, and they want to be logging onto the same VM every time because they need to be able to install stuff and remove stuff, right? And they're not your typical user. You could assign them, right, in the WVD admin tool, right? You would assign them their access, and they would always get that one desktop, but they still would be clicking. I don't know, Anup, is there something from?
No, I don't know about that, to be honest. So I have not experienced this the same thing which you explained, Harjit. Right. So when user logs on, they will be just directly log into a VM, you mean, rather than clicking on that desktop icon?
This is more in a situation when you have 0 clients in the picture, right? So if you have those little devices, the 0 clients set up in a, let's say, a particular computer lab or a public location and stuff like that. So you don't want someone to come up to the thing and then having to choose. So this way, that those 0 clients are directly tied to a specific pool of desktops that are similar. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you can do that.
Not in terms of what you're using the app for, or your own laptop to access VDI. That's different. But I should have explained it better earlier. There's more focused on 0 clients. Is that supported right now? Like 0 clients with WVD, or?
Yeah, there's a limited list. So I know iGel is one of them. So you could do iGel, right, thin client, and that would log you straight in. You would use the desktop client. So I showed the browser, but if you're using the desktop client, you can configure it to go straight in.
Okay.
Okay, so I was not aware that there is a different technical term for thin clients as zero clients. So yeah,
Yeah, I
thank you
call
for
them zero
bringing up
clients.
that.
That's what we do.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Dell, we use the
yeah,
Dell Wise clients.
Hmm.
yeah, yeah,
But thin clients is another, yeah.
yeah.
So,
That's
Yeah,
a good one. Yeah.
the Wise client I think is supported too as well now.
okay.
Yeah, I haven't worked with it, so I can't tell you for sure what the details are. But
So for agile, right? We are kind of looking into it, and kind of we have defined some specific policies to kind of eliminate the second login for the agile client. So that is technically possible. But as Jen mentioned, probably that is in the roadmap, and it is going to come soon, probably.
Right, right. I think it creates less obstacles for the end user because they already logged in once, and then you ask them, you pop up again. It's like a confusion. It's user training really at the end of the day, but it's some just get annoyed by it. Like, why are you asking me all the time? It's almost like what do you call it? The UAC prompts that you get, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes multiple times, and so no, it's all good. It's all good.
oh, I will say that so I experienced customers with Citrix, and I experienced customers who never had any sort of VDI, right? And some of those customers at last year were in a very panic mode to get something up and running, and they were deploying WVD for the first time. And actually, I did some that were on the classic version, which was a lot more PowerShell intensive, right, and no GUI based, and there were no complaints. I mean, these users were just so happy that they had something and an option that they were not worried about the double login
Yeah.
at all. So it depends on who you're
Depends on the
talking to.
environment, and yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that, because of COVID and, the push to work from home, this whole WVD thing has just like blown um, to a really high level now, right? And I think you're pretty busy with all your customers and new customers, and everybody's trying to get on that same uh, road. And we Anup and I deal with Intune stuff too, where there's a spike in that, like, oh my God, now we need to manage our devices remotely, and how do we do that? So this is awesome. I'm not sure whether you were planning to do more, but how does someone get started with WVD? Like, where do they go? Are there some prerequisites for this? Do you know anything about licensing? I'm just throwing some questions out there, so you can just feel free to.
Sure. So absolutely. So let me see if I can bring up the page here.
I know you can go to sleep because you know all about this anyways.
No,
Sorry, guys.
Jen is expert here, so
Okay, so if you went to the WVD, aka .wvd, you would get like the main page, right? And
So
there's
aka.ms/WVD, right?
yes, very
Okay.
easy to remember with the short names. I love those short names.
Okay.
This is a good starting page, right? It talks
Okay.
about your license, and there's a lot of tools here. So if you were looking at licensing, right, you would go through this. It tells you here what license are eligible to have WVD. So if you have one of these licenses today, right, like Microsoft 365 E3 or E5, right, you already have the ability to have WVD. It's eligible, right? So this is a good spot. It gives you a lot of information. Here's some scenarios that you would, if you were running through to check estimates on how much this was going to cost, right? It would take you to the calculator.
Oh, you could do that. Okay, that's great.
Yeah. You remember I was talking about how you wanna design your solution at the beginning, you're going to need to figure this out. Now, this defaults to 100 users, and that may not be your situation, right? So this is a big number here because it also has a GPU VM as well with 12 vCPUs. So that may not be necessary, right? But you definitely want to go through and manage this information, figure it out. I like to go to the documentation page, and here there is a Windows Virtual Desktop button, and this section is a wealth of knowledge, and it's constantly updated. So if you start here with the what is WVD, there's a whole section. There's a video that gives you an intro. Gives you all the requirements here, right? Azure Active Directory. So this you can go through with your for prerequisites, right? If you were thinking about doing that. I didn't talk about the Azure Shared Image Gallery, but you could put your images in the Shared Image Gallery and have that replicated to other regions. So if you had a host pool in the US and you had a host pool in India, and you just wanted to use the same image, you could replicate it there and create your host pool off of that same image, right?
Okay.
There's a what's new section here. And this gets updated. So this is for April. There's always something new. There's the updates to the agent, some FS Logic links, some new portal UIs came in, the Generation 2 images and the trusted launch. Had a lot of cool updates. So I'm constantly looking at this when it comes out because it helps me keep up to date, right? If you haven't heard by now, there's a new specialty certification.
Yeah.
The AZ-140 is in beta, so there's some links there to learn. And if you go down here, there's tutorials, which is also kind of cool, that can give you some walkthroughs. If you want to learn, you can do this all in your lab, right? Go through. Excellent. Yeah. There is some how-tos, and this list is growing. Like, I remember when it first started, I think there was like 6 things in this, and now there is just so many. There's a whole migrate section. So a lot of stuff here. The PowerShell modules you need, wealth of information. Setting up MFA, right here. MSIX app attach, as you probably heard, it went GA, I think. So that's also another option. VMs start on Connect. That's a new feature as well. You can set that up to start the VMs on Connect. So you have the ability to set drain mode. There's a whole lot of things. So there's a concept here. If you want to just kind of read through and understand what your options are. There's monitoring. Monitoring is really cool. Troubleshooting guide. And some security best practices. We don't want to forget about security. That's very important, right? So, and if you're using Defender, there's a lot of information here about that. There's the screen capture protection also. And lots of resources. So here you've got the experience estimator. People like this one, so we're all going to find out how slow my connection is right now. So to Azure East US 2, I'm at 73 round trip, right? And so you can see to the various regions here. So you want to have your user do this, right? Based on where they are to figure out what their milliseconds of round trip will be when you're, planning out your solution. So that's a nice nifty tool.
Yeah, I don't even want to look at India.
No, India is better have better connectivity now, right? We have better connectivity.
Yeah, you have a pop there, right? So the other thing, if you want to learn more, there's a whole section in Azure Learn, right, about WVD, right?
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so you can go through all these modules, really good stuff. I went through this as well, so I can tell you it's very good. There's some how-to videos here that walk you through stuff as well. So wealth of information. So this
Oh,
is your
this is
best
great
friend.
resource. Yeah, definitely. This is definitely a going to be very helpful for a lot of people, and looks like Microsoft has put in a lot of effort into that whole documentation and videos and learning capabilities for this. Like, I think it's probably one of the best I've seen, uh, among like different product groups and stuff like that. So it's wonderful.
It is.
I
It
think,
and
is.
we and we have a great WVD community right around us, and that is another point. Get in touch with the community and start getting advice from them uh, through
Mhm.
Twitter or some other media, right? So there are a lot of resources available within the community as well.
Yeah. And in fact, speaking of communities, there's a bunch of WVD communities that have spun up in different areas. That's one I know you did one for India. I think there's one for the US and so on and so forth, and then one global. So yeah, definitely it's a great resource to
So if
have.
you would allow me, I'll do the shameless plug.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, so with the WVD community, was founded by Neil and a few other in the UK, and the newsletter comes out every Sunday. And if you haven't already subscribed to the Slack channel, there's a Slack channel as well where we're all, interacting and posting information there. And as a result of that, the WVD community newsletter, and there was this chat on Twitter one day that said, what if we did all these meetup groups around the globe for different countries because of all our time zones and stuff? And so it just took off like wildfire. And now I think there is probably 28 groups. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm
I've
keeping
seen a lot.
track.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I formed the US WVD
you did.
User
Okay.
Group, and because we're all virtual, I figured why not open it to the whole country and actually to the whole world. Anyone is welcome to join.
Yeah.
And we meet monthly. I have two co-leaders now with me this year, and we have some really good lineup of speakers, some Microsoft folks and sponsors. So it's something to check out. Usually it's the first Friday of every month
Okay.
from noon to 2 Eastern.
Oh, that's
And
excellent.
okay, and that's my shameless
Well,
plug. Thank
that's
you.
great. And if you could
That's
share
good info.
those resources with us, also the Slack channel information how to join, and we'll add that to our YouTube video resources that we always do. And then we can move Anoop stuff all the way down because not really important anymore.
I will get next time probably a better chance, right?
Yeah, I pick on Anoop all the time.
Well, Anoop has the India WVD user group, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not to be honest with you, I'm not very active on that. I have to start somewhere probably in July or something. That is what I'm planning to do. I have just created the group, but not very active to be honest. Yeah.
But like Jen was saying that they have, sessions every month and stuff like that. Maybe you can incorporate something like that once a month or,
Mhm.
you know, have Jen join your India thing.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah.
I would do that.
Yeah, that would
Absolutely.
be
Let me
awesome.
know. I would
Yeah.
love to.
Yeah.
Yes.
So did we have anything else for Jen? I mean, this was a great share today. I really enjoyed this.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
this was great, great show, and probably the first slide you have shown is the core architecture of WVD, right? That is very useful for all the starters. Probably
Mhm.
they can understand all the connectivity and all the internal how things, how it works, etc. Right? So that is very useful. Thank you very much, Jen, for that.
Yeah.
Thank
One
you.
question I have, and I know it comes up every now and then, it's about managing devices because when you look at VDI desktops, they are really devices, right? Except they're virtual. So one of the things comes up is how do you manage these with Intune and stuff like that? And from what I know, or from what I've been told, that these are considered as multi-session devices, and because of that, they cannot be synced into, um, is it Azure AD, Anup? Is that right?
Yeah, so basically from a WVD perspective, right, there are two, maybe more than two, right? Let's talk about two, right? Single session VMs and multi-session VMs, right? So at the moment, if I remember correctly, only single session VMs are supported, right, with Intune. Okay, so if you want to manage multi-session VMs, then probably you might need to use configuration manager, right? So configuration manager is fully supported with both single session and multi-session. But if you want to specifically manage multi-session, then there is no option at the moment. But soon, I think the support is soon coming for from Intune perspective also. So Intune is going to probably support multi-session also. It's
Okay.
in the roadmap, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Excellent.
Yeah, I heard it's on the roadmap too. So we're all looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. In my environment, we have users that all they need is Active Directory tools, to do things that they need to do to manage their resources and stuff like that. So we also actually have provided just Active Directory only application tools in VDI, and that has been working really well. So I can see a lot of potentials for this stuff. The possibilities are just endless, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so I think that's good. We have Jen, seriously, thank you so much for being here. You're our first guest. We're so honored. You're a wonderful person, and we want you back again for sure. Maybe we can get into deeper things about WVD or something else. And but yeah, Anup, you have any final
Yeah.
words for?
Thank you very much, Jen, and it was wonderful having you here. And yeah,
Don't forget to spread the word about our show. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. And how do people find you on social media? How do they connect with you if they need you to?
Well, let me just say thank you so much for having me. The feeling is mutual. I'm honored to be your first guest and just honored to be here anyway. You can find me on Twitter at Jen Sheerin. GitHub is at Jen Sheerin. LinkedIn. So LinkedIn and Twitter is usually where I'm at, active and very responsive there. I'm always willing to help, and also on the Slack channel. Right.
Slack channel. Okay.
Yeah. So I would love to be back, maybe another session with you
Yes.
for some deep dives. So I would
Yeah.
thank you again so much. And
No problem.
it's great to have you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take
Yeah.
care.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We're back.
yeah.
That was a great. I really enjoyed that.
Yep.
She's Jen is definitely a wealth of knowledge in this particular solution, or the expertise that she has with many years.
Yeah.
And that is why we both reached out and said, hey, you gotta come on our show and share the stuff. And and she's also a woman in tech. It's really important. I feel she's like probably 50 times smarter than me.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, smarter than us. Yeah, probably. And I liked her simplicity in presenting things, right? So it is very simple. She explained it very well, right?
Yes.
So even if you are not familiar with WVD, you will understand it very well, right? So that is great stuff, right?
Yes. It was basic, it was right to the point, and also I really enjoyed the resources, like, where do you go to learn about it? Where do you go to get the documentation for it, the videos and stuff like that? Like, that's just There's a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah.
So we will definitely share all that information, and including how to contact Jen in our YouTube description. That which is like growing by, like
That's always useful, right?
it's useful,
Let's help
right?
the community.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's good. Is there anything we want to share, or we should end this?
I think we are good. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So until next time, you know where to find us. What do you say?
And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, right?
Yes. Namaste.
Namaste.